Hi guys, today I want to talk about makeup products that I have actually repurchased. It is rare that I use up a makeup product and then repurchase that same product. Usually, even if I liked something, usually I want to try something new anyway because it's just fun to try new things. But in some rare instances, I love something enough to actually repurchase it. So those are the things I want to talk about today, as well as some observations that I've had about how my thoughts tend to change on products over time. The first thing, I'm on my second bottle of this ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Hydrating Foundation. I wear the shade Fair 30N. This is a really nice foundation. I don't love it as much as I did when I had my first bottle of it. I don't think they changed the formula or anything like that. I think that maybe my preferences have just changed, my skin type has maybe changed, but sometimes I find this to look just a little bit heavy and makeup-y on my skin. I still do like it for a nice medium coverage satin finish. I just have to make sure that I really hydrate my skin well before I apply this. But I think this would probably be my last bottle of this foundation unless my feelings change on it again by the time I use it up. Another thing I've repurchased are the AOA Studio Paw Paw Wonder Blenders. I love these sponges. I had a single one of them, loved it, and so I repurchased it in a 6-pack. So I now have a bunch of these on backup, which is so nice. I love this sponge. It is so soft. It's just perfect. I really don't see my thoughts changing on this sponge. Normally I say, and a theme in this video will be, don't buy backups, because oftentimes something can be your holy grail for a long time. But then by the time you get to your backup, maybe your thoughts have changed. I don't think that's going to be the case with these sponges, just because my thoughts don't really change on sponges very often. This is something I've happily repurchased. I love Shop Miss A. They have so many nifty things. These sponges are normally like $1 something a piece. So yeah, pretty great deal. Another thing, I almost forgot that I had repurchased this, but this is the Urban Decay Stay Naked Correcting Concealer. I have the shade 20 CP. I had the mini of this, used it up, and then bought the full size. And it's funny, I don't love this concealer nearly as much as I did when I first had it. This was like one of my top favorite concealers. I was always raving about it. Now I'm just not loving it as much. I feel like it just looks heavy on my under eyes. It definitely creases quite a bit. Again, it looks makeup-y, kind of like the ColourPop Pretty Fresh. So maybe my skin has just changed over time, but I just feel like I don't know, they aren't working for me quite as well as they once did, both of these things. So that brings me to an observation, which is that I'm really glad I don't buy a ton of backups of things. These are things that I repurchased once I used something up. But let's say I fell in love with this concealer, saw that they were discontinuing it, which they are, and went and bought like 10. There is no way I wouldn't find a new favorite concealer by the time I got through all 10 of those concealers. I would find a new favorite, probably fall out of love with this one like I did, and that would have been a total waste. So that's why I just don't think backups are worth it, no matter how much you love something, because a product that you love now or a shade you love now, 2 years from now, you may hate it on yourself. So very, very rarely does it make sense to buy backups of things. I think in the case of like something disposable like sponges, that makes more sense. Anyway, that's why I'm glad I didn't buy backups of these things, even though at one point they were like tippy-top favorite status. There are 2 powders that I've repurchased. The e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder in Light. I went through a whole container of this e.l.f. powder in Light a while ago, back when it had the black lid. I repurchased this one. I've also since purchased the shade Light Pink, which I love. I use that one even more often than this one now, but this is such a great powder. This is the powder I'm wearing on my face today. This is just such a beautiful powder. Very smoothing and blurring, very lightweight. The other powder I've repurchased, I'm about to use this up. I probably will purchase it again. The CoverGirl Clean Fresh Pressed Powder. I have the shade Fair. That's all I have left of it, but this is such a nice powder, very thin, very, again, blurring, smoothing, kind of reminds me of high-end powders that I've tried. So I definitely would purchase a third one of these. which that really doesn't happen very often. Another thing I don't love as much as I first did, the Milani Eyeshadow Primer. This was my favorite eyeshadow primer for years, and I still do like it, but I just feel like there has to be something better out there because I do sometimes still get creasing with this one after a long day, or especially with like creamier eyeshadows, so I'm on the hunt for something better. This would probably be the last tube of this that I own. I feel like I've actually already used a good bit of this. But yeah, this is a good eyeshadow primer. I just think there's gotta be better out there. This is also my second tube of the NYX Thick It Stick It Brow Gel in the shade Cool Blonde. Actually, this is the third one of these that I've purchased. I did also buy the shade Taupe, and that ended up being too deep on me. So Cool Blonde is much better. I really don't like for my brow products to pull red, so this is perfect. I don't feel like I love this as much as I did the first time. It's weird. It almost feels like the consistency of it is different. I felt like the first one I had was even thicker than this and even stickier, which I liked. I felt like this would really stick my brows down while also filling them in nicely because it has like the perfect amount of pigment to it. But I feel like this one just doesn't have the same amount of hold that the first one did, so I'm kind of bummed about that. Yeah, again, like I don't know, it's weird. It's like, I don't think they changed the formula, but it almost feels like they did. I still will use it. Like, it's handy for a really quick brow fill-in when you don't have time to go in with a brow pen or anything. This is a good just one-step thing. I just wish it had better hold, really. And I've also repurchased the NYX Lift and Snatch Brow Pen. I used to have the shade Blonde, now I have the shade Taupe. I actually like Taupe better than Blonde. Blonde was a little bit too warm-toned. Taupe is like perfectly neutral, leaning cool. It's so nice. I've talked about this so many times, but I just love the way it looks in my brows. I'm able to be really precise with it and really shape my brows how I want them, so absolutely love this. I think I will continue to repurchase it. Another really rare thing for me to repurchase is lip liner, and I actually did repurchase the Kokie retractable lip liner in nude. This used to be my absolute favorite, and this is yet another example of my mind changing about something that I used to love and think would be my lifelong holy grail. I mean, I still love the shade of this. It's a nice, light, warm, peachy brown. Really nice. I have it on right now under the Lawless lip gloss in the shade Nudie. I still love the shade, but I have kind of fallen out of love with this formula. I just find it a little bit heavy on my lips now, and I really prefer pencil, like wooden pencil lip liners these days, like the Jones Road and the Essence. That's really my favorite type of lip liner currently. Not so much this really heavy, sharp lip liner. These Kokie lip liners do lock into place and they don't budge, which is nice, but I don't necessarily feel like that's a must for me in a lip liner, and I'd rather have something that looks really nice and natural and kind of blurred on my lips. Which this just doesn't really do. Another thing I just don't love as much as I used to. I still do really like using it, and I will use this one up, but it's not something I would probably repurchase after this second one is done. And those are all of the things that I have actually repurchased. It's rare that I repurchase a makeup product, but I always like to follow up on these kinds of things because when I film empties videos, I always say like, yes, this is something I would repurchase, but do I actually end up repurchasing it? I don't think it ends up happening very often. I would consider repurchasing something, but I don't always end up getting around to doing it. And this really is why I don't buy backups. I don't recommend buying backup. I really just don't think it makes sense to hoard a bunch of unopened products that you'll get to someday, because those things may very well expire before you ever get around to using them, or you won't even like that product anymore. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think of backups? Do you buy backups? Is there a certain type of product that you always buy backups of? Do you find yourself actually using your backups? I have so many questions. Feel free to answer any of them down below in the comments. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you would like extra content from me, I do have a Patreon and a channel membership where I upload a bonus vlog every month. I'd love to have you join me over there. Huge shout out to all of my current patrons and channel members. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, and I will talk to you tomorrow in the next day of Vlogsgiving. Bye!